Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Personal Development Networking. This is featuring Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and it's sponsored by the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. Houston West Chamber focuses on business development, community engagement, training, and legislative affairs. They have over 800 company members, and when you translate that into employees and staff, that's over 50,000 people that you have contact with. And each each year, they have over 300 events. This is one of the events coming up. It's called Rise and Grind. It's a networking event for breakfast, 7 a.m. on September the 15th at Cantina Laredo. So what is PDN, Personal Development Networking? Well, it's both personal and business, and we focus on physical health and wellness areas, mental, like memory development, business, all aspects of business, planning, goal setting, marketing, sales, administration, operations, leadership, and we have sessions on networking and training. We meet on the second Wednesday of each month, and we're doing it on Zoom right now. Here's some of the previous speakers that we've had in this event. Scott Moran. He is Zoom online networking host, along with Joe Axline, and he's a specialist in Facebook, Google, and particularly adroit in the words that you use to keep the conversation going. Eric Swanson. Eric is a founder of Habitude Warrior Conference and Masterminds. And before the pandemic, he hosted events all over the country. I was privileged to speak at 3 of those events. He's someone that you'd like to know. Eric Stanley, American Traditional Funding. And when you can't get money at the bank, you go to Eric Stanley or other reasons. He's also the founder of In Houston Networking. That was the largest ever networking group, over 10,000 people in the greater Houston area. Brian Hilliard, he's the author of Networking Like a Pro, and then rewrote the book with Dr. Ivan Meisner called Networking Like a Pro again with the revisions. Hank Moore. Hank is the author of, I want to make sure everybody has muted themselves so that we don't have any interference. Hank Moore has written a number of best-selling books. He's a business strategist and a top keynote speaker all over the world. Howard Partridge. Howard is the exclusive international vice president of training for the Ziegler Corporation and also president of Phenomenal Products and a host of the Inner Circle sessions. He's written a number of great books on business, community, and connecting. Ruben Gonzalez, 4 times in 4 decades, Olympic athlete. His book, The Courage to Succeed, is a fantastic book. Tom Big L Schreider. He spends 300 days out of the year helping people by conducting training sessions in generic networking so that you will learn what to say and what to do. Jonathan Sprinkles. Jonathan has written a number of best-selling books and hosted some great trainings on speaking and presenting yourself. When Paula Abdul was coming out of retirement, she hired Jonathan to help put that together. Bill Walsh. Bill is the host of the Small Business Expo that were all over the country. He had in excess of 2,000 people, the ones that I visited in Houston. And he's also rated as one of the top business coaches in the world. Normally we have a session by Red O'Loughlin on health and wellness, but we're going to defer his session until next month. That'll be our session on October the 13th, again at 10 a.m. And he'll be talking about COVID-19 experiences. So I'm going to give you a little bit on health and wellness this morning. I've spent the last 25 years working as a wellness coach. I've owned 2 health clubs, one in Austin and one in Houston. I have written books on health. I've been a advisory board member for an international health and wellness products company that's doing over $1 billion worth of business. And I do speaking at numerous events on this. So I want to tell you about how I got started. I was 9 years old and I sent off for this correspondence course from Charles Atlas. At the time, Charles Atlas was known as the world's most perfectly developed man. And I further got interested in health and wellness when I was a teenager, and I got involved with the sport of judo. I was never a national champion or a Olympic contender, but I was MC for several of the Olympic games, and I did competition, was a coach, was a referee for international events, an administrator, was a board member and officer of the national governing body for a number of years. In my later years, I developed some problems. My father died of similar problems in his 50s, and I went through a process of learning health and wellness and eventually eliminated all pharmaceutical drugs. And so I'm an example of what we're talking about. My daily regimen is that I get up between 4:30 and 5 every day and drink between 8 and 10 glasses of water. And I take supplements every day also. So I start with 15 to 20 minutes of meditation. Sometimes I use what they call EFT, emotional freedom techniques, or tapping. Check my blood pressure. You can see my blood pressure down below there. This was taken, on Monday, and my pulse at that time. Ask if you're not muted, would you please mute? I'd appreciate that. Okay. Then I do about 15, 20 minutes of stretching, deep breathing, and eye muscle exercises. I go head for the health club, and I'm there. It's about a mile and a quarter away, and I work on the cross trainers, the treadmills, or sometimes the stair climbers, to get warmed up on, and then do about 20 minutes of weight resistance exercises, leaving 24 to 72 hours between sessions. I get as much sun as I can, at least 20 minutes on all the skin that I can every day. And then it's sometimes that tough in Houston. And it's a shower, and I always protect myself, whether it's the body wash or the shampoo or the moisturizer with non-toxic products. And I do intermittent fasting for 18 hours, at least 18 hours a day, and then 3 days at a time. And I always read books by people like Red O'Loughlin. So if you'd like to have the information about the interview that Bill Graff did on the show, the Senior Estate Concierge Show, then you can contact me at that link below. And now I want to introduce you to Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, best-selling author of Behind the Green Screen, Succeeding in Live Broadcasting Business, also creator of a radio and TV show. I'll talk about that a little bit later here, the Business Talk radio show. She's a certified holistic career and life coach. Her doctorate was on driving behavioral change with people. She's also involved with Crohn and Colitis Foundation, psoriasis, and autoimmune disease. And she's a certified core power yoga sculpt teacher. Just a few minutes ago, actually it started about 9 o'clock, I was listening to a YouTube presentation. Dr. Jacalyn produces 20 of these shows every week. This one happened to be with a speaking coach, teaching mostly females how to have more confidence. So let me present to you Dr. Jacalyn.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you, Gail, for having me. And hello to Hyatt and hi to Caroline and to new friends. Nice to be here.
What I'd like to do, if agreeable to you, Dr. Jacalyn, is just ask you a few questions. The first I'd like to ask you about what you'd like your audience to take away from reading your book, Behind the Green Screen.
Thank you, Gail. What I'd love everyone to take away is that you can actually change your life against all odds. And if you are in a place in your life personally or professionally that's not serving you, you can come up with an action plan to move forward and make the changes in your life that will bring you happiness and joy.
Thank you. I know we talked a little bit about your coaching and what I'd like to ask you is about clarity coaching services that you provide and how you can help people.
Thank you, Gail. Yes, I do provide coaching from a clarity perspective, how to get clarity about who you are, where you want to go. I also provide coaching on how to listen. And I think this is a really untapped skill that can give you better relationships, deeper connections, and help you be more successful in your personal and professional life. Most people show up and they think they're listening, but they're actually just hearing. And there's a lot that gets lost in translation when people are not active listeners. So I coach my clients on how to get clarity in their lives and also how to be better listeners.
In networking, we say that people make the decision within the first second or two about whether or not they're going to continue the conversation with you, and that you ought to be doing about 70% of the time listening and 30% of the time asking questions. Does that follow what you've been teaching folks?
Except the numbers are different. I say 90% of the time listening. And and there's different types of listening. And I think that that's part of what the issue is, that if we don't know the different types of listening, we're not actually taught how to actively listen, then we're there thinking that we're doing the work, but we're really not.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I was so impressed with the interview that you're doing, and particularly with the number of interviews that you're doing. What is your journey as a TV and radio show host been like?
It's been fascinating, Gail. It started last year. Before that, I worked in corporate America for my entire career doing something completely and totally unrelated. I was selling employee recognition programs, sales incentives, and meetings and events, and had never really interviewed anyone officially except in the capacity of interviewing CEOs and other senior leaders for the work that I was doing. So it started out last August, and it was me with a telephone and somebody on the other end at Business Talk Radio. And we went from there, just literally being on the radio, to producing the first Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn show on Zoom. And then we went on StreamYard. And from StreamYard, we now have 20 shows a week. And Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn is just one small piece of the bigger entity, which is USA Global TV.
Tell us a little bit more about USA Global TV.
USA Global TV is an international platform that is on the radio and also on TV. And coming in January 10th, when we have our official hard launch, I like to call it, we are going to be on many more platforms that or give us even more global exposure for our audience and really for the people who come on to share their stories. So the whole foundation of everything that we do is for people to come on and share part of their journey to inspire other people and give hope.
I know that you've spent many years in the corporate world, and I was so impressed with the way you were able to pivot and start a new career in a new business. So can you tell us how that corporate experience prepared you for the new career?
Absolutely. Thank you. I have to say I had an amazing career. I was able to travel the world and somebody else was paying for it. I stayed at 5-star resorts, ate the best food, was able to pre-extend and post-extend on all the trips that the clients hired us to develop and to execute for them. However, during the journey, my health started to suffer. And I didn't realize it at the time that my body was kind of crying out and saying, hey, this is not really the best thing for you. So coincidentally, I signed up to get my life coaching certification. And during that process, I met this wonderful woman named Mariska, and we started coaching each other. And long story short, I came up with an action plan with her help to leave my corporate job. So I drew on a piece of paper that I wrote that I will leave, I will resign by the date February 20th, 2020. I put it on the refrigerator, and then we came up with 3 plans. If this happens, then we go to plan B. If this happens, then we go to plan C. So I gave my resignation. I had 2 weeks still that I was still employed. So March 6th last year was my last day of work, my last paycheck, the last time I had any paid benefits. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. And so I went from having no decisions whatsoever that I had to make about income or benefits to everything now being on me. So I had already started Dr. Jacalyn LLC, and my goal again was coaching. And then during the pandemic, I did all the coaching for free. I also got my yoga sculpt certification, my meditation certification, and I did all of that for free. And so as people were sharing their stories, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if they had the opportunity to share it in a public forum where they could feel safe? And so that's how the whole thing kind of started.
Well, that's very exciting. I know that you spend something like 70 hours a week, and I'm just curious, what drives you to do that?
Well, I've always been a workaholic. I've always been an A-type personality. And so when I do something, it's really important to me that it's done at the highest possible level. And now that I feel responsible for making sure that my guests have their stories shared in the most professional format, I have to make sure that all the production is taken care of before the fact, so that when people come into the studio, they feel safe and they want to share their story. So a lot of the 70 hours that I spend is not broadcasting, but it's preparing for the broadcast, and then afterwards reaching out to people to make sure that they feel like they had a great experience and that they were heard.
Great. So tell me a little bit more about this Talking Heads platform that you mentioned.
Well, under the umbrella of USA Global TV, our programming is going to be changing when we roll out the official rollout in January. So what we currently have in formatting and in terms of the types of programming includes something called talking heads. Talking heads are the best experts in the world. So we've had a platform prior to this called A Better You, and people were able to come onto A Better You and share 15-minute presentations to help make us better personally and or professionally. And now we're actually taking that to another level because our platform is going to another level. So what you can expect on Talking Heads will be a value for value exchange where people come onto the program after they're screened and we see that it's a good fit and they have to pay to come onto the platform. But in exchange, they have a number of opportunities how they can monetize their experience and how they can actually grow their business from that.
Fantastic. So of your many activities, would you let us know which one of those, maybe more than one, that you enjoy most in doing and why?
Thank you. Yes, I would say from the broadcasting perspective, I really enjoy interviewing people. So I have a number of co-hosts, but I really like the shows the best that I get to interview people by myself. And part of the reason is I get to be fully present and I don't have to worry about the cadence or the timing as to what the co-host is going to say or do. And I don't use a script. So I have people, people reach out and they'll say, can you give me the script for the show? No, there is no script because I want to make sure that I'm fully present and I just follow the flow of the conversation. So I would say that's the area for broadcasting. In terms of coaching, what I really love is when I see my client's face light up, when they have this aha moment that all of a sudden they had a breakthrough. And it's just to be part of something like that is truly amazing. And then finally, for my philanthropic work, and I've shared this before, and Hyatt and Caroline may have heard this, but I was asked to speak at an event for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. And I had to share what my life is really like living with 3 autoimmune illnesses. And it was very emotional. It was an 11-minute talk that I gave. And afterwards, I saw this young woman. She kept looking at me. And I said, how do you feel? Are you enjoying the event? It was a spin event. And she said, I didn't think I could make it here today. She said, because I'm so sick. She was also a patient. And she said, but you gave me a reason to live.
Oh, fantastic.
I know, I still get and now she's gotten really involved in the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. And it's amazing to see what she's been able to accomplish and how she's gotten other people who didn't want to share their stories. They're now out there helping other people as well.
That's fantastic. I know that you've had a previous association with Hyatt Ives and Red O'Loughlin. Can you tell us about your Houston connection?
I love the Houston connections. It's amazing. This is, I'm going to shorten the story, but it's just amazing how things happen. So I was also working at a television station in person, and I wasn't getting paid for it. I actually paid them to be on the platform. And we had a woman who called in, and she is an author. And she gave a little 10-minute presentation about her book. Her name is Zane Carson Carruth. And so when I started my platform, she booked to come on to my platform and she couldn't make it. It was the day before she was going to come on. And I thought, you know what? I don't really know this woman, but I'm going to ask her, could you refer me to someone to take your place? So she referred me to Diane Floyd Boehm. And Diane Floyd Boehm is also in Texas. And Diane said, you need to meet Red O'Loughlin. Red is this incredible guy. So Red actually is my book coach. He worked with me on the first book. The second book is actually finished. We haven't published it yet. And he said, you need to meet Hyatt Ives. So I met Hyatt, and Hyatt said, you need to meet Earl Hurd, and you need to meet Mike Boisenot. And so and Ricky McKenna. So it's been truly an amazing journey.
Well, we appreciate that. I know you're some distance from the best city in the country, but anyway, so tell us a little bit about what a typical day is like for you.
A typical day for me is very structured. I've now incorporated working out twice a day. So the first thing I do is I have to make my bed. And of course, I have a bed that's very complicated. Everything, I'm OCD, so everything has to be perfectly structured. I have to lint roll everything. So that takes like 10 minutes, believe it or not. Then I'll go and check on my mother, and then I'll start my exercise routine. So I do that for about 45 minutes. And then I come here to the studio, and each day is different, but I have my trusty clipboard here. And so every day is outlined what I need to do. And so the days that I'm broadcasting, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there are certain things that I do in terms of preparing for the broadcast, doing the broadcast, and then I usually have 5 minutes in between before the next show starts. The days I'm not broadcasting, I'm researching my clients' backgrounds, and I have to put together a broadcast studio. So if you figure there's 20 broadcasts a week, I have to create the studio and then create the social media posters. So that takes on average about 10 hours. And the rest of the time, I have a number of business initiatives that I am working on that are really exciting in alignment with the TV platform. And then, of course, I'm coaching clients. And then I have my second workout of the day, which is usually at the gym or a yoga studio. Then I make dinner for my mother. And then I go back to the studio and start working again on my computer. So I work out, and I spend time with my mother, and that's it.
That sounds like a full day. I know you talked a little bit about how much of the work initially you did without pay. And I was just wondering how you structured the day as far as the percentage of time that you spent on marketing and how much you spent on production.
Well, Gail, I have to say, in terms of time, if I use just $50 an hour, for example,
Right.
I've already invested $180,000 of sweat equity plus over $100,000 in cash in what it is that I'm doing. And so in terms of marketing, I had hired a number of people to do things for me, and most of the time it turned out to be a complete waste of money. So I started doing the marketing myself, and then found out through partnerships that I have that I was doing it completely wrong, that each of the social media platforms has certain algorithms that have to be followed. And I didn't even understand that. So now I'm spending much more time doing the marketing in the right way. And this just started this week, by the way. I also had hired someone to do my website and paid them in full, and they couldn't do it. So they took my money, and that was the end. So I had to redo the website by myself. So I would say production now, I'm much more effective at it. So it doesn't take me as long. Whereas the marketing, I'm still in a learning mode. And so that is very time consuming.
So when you reflect back on your career, and I know we don't always get a chance to do things over again, but what would you do differently in your career if you had the opportunity?
I think there were many red flags during my career that were opportunities for me to go a different direction. And during most of my career, I always had side gigs. So I'm still a licensed insurance agent. I was a fund manager, cosmetic makeup artist. I mean, I could go on and all the things I did while I was doing my career. And I think I was just bored with my career, but I love the money. I did not want to walk away from the paycheck. So I think looking back, if I had left sooner, I don't know, would I be on the path that I'm on now? I don't think so. So I have no regrets actually from where I was, but from what I've been doing, one of the things that I would definitely look at seriously and encourage other people is to find somebody who was already doing what it was that I wanted to do, so that I didn't make so many mistakes. Because in the last year, I've made a number of mistakes that cost me money and cost me time.
You certainly are a role model for all of us, and again, I'm so impressed with the amount of work that you accomplished. If there was one piece of advice that you could give to our audience today, and By the way, we are recording this, and it'll go out to several thousand entrepreneurs in the Houston area here, or further. And what kind of advice could you give to our viewers?
Thank you, Gail. I think I'll leave the viewers with two pieces of advice, if that's okay. The first one is follow your intuition. And what I mean by that is my body literally was breaking down and saying, hey, this isn't working. And I just thought, oh, there's no correlation between what I'm doing and the fact that my health is failing. And then once I stopped doing what I was doing, miraculously, my health got much better. So I think follow your intuition. And I think the other thing is that you have to think big, think at, the 100,000-foot level instead of just like what's right in front of you. And I hear people say this all the time. How do you do what you do? I can't even come up with the energy to do one more thing. And the truth is you can. You just have to change your perspective. You have to change how you look at things and stop putting up excuses. That's what it all is. I can't make money because it's a pandemic. I can't do this because, I'll leave you with this. My father was a car dealer, and one of his dealerships was in a very dangerous neighborhood, and that's where I had to work because he wanted me to see what life was really like. And he would say that we need more car sales. We need more sales. And people would say, we can't sell today because it's raining. We can't sell today because the sun's out. Nobody's going to come in shopping for cars. We can't sell now because it's the day after a holiday. And they were always excuses. And so if you let them, excuses will run your life and they will keep you back from being everything that you can be. So keep pushing forward.
That's a great piece of advice. I see that you've had health and wellness as a great part of your regimen and life. Did you have some mentors in those areas?
Yes, I definitely did. I didn't speak about my ulcerative colitis I've had since 1991. I didn't speak to anyone about it until 2018 when I met the head of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. And he really gave me the courage to step forward and realize that because I have a disease doesn't mean that I am a disease. And so once I realized that, doors started opening for me and people started reaching out. And I feel like that's a big reason why I'm so focused on health and wellness, is because I've been sick for most of my life and yet I keep pushing through. And so I don't want other people to live the same way, where they think because they have an illness that, it's the illness I have. It's called the dreaded bathroom disease. Nobody ever wants to talk about it. So you live in shame and isolation and fear. But the truth is we all have something. And so if I can help one person feel better about themselves, then I think that that's why my focus is health and wellness.
When we look to the future, what's next on your agenda?
The next thing on my agenda is, as we restructure the television platform so that we're bringing different types of programming to people across the world, that we will be able to have more countries represented and coming onto the platform to share their stories, so that it'll be USA Global TV will be like the Oprah Winfrey platform, where one day I'll be able to say, you have a car and you have a car and you have a car, and just be able to give back as much as possible to help as many people in the world.
And fantastic plan. I want to give you an opportunity to put your contact. I've shared some of your contact information in the prior slides and so on, but I'd like give you an opportunity to do that. Before we do that, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yes, thank you. It looks like my information is backwards. Does it look backwards to you?
Well, unfortunately, I don't see it here.
Oh, okay, that's good. So yes, what I like to share with our viewers is that I'm so excited about an online seminar that I'm hosting. We're going to be hosting one every month, but it's all around the area of listening and how you can have more intense conversations with people, conversations that really matter. So in this seminar, which is September the 16th, there are actually 3 opportunities for people to attend in person, or you can actually get the link and watch it later. It's 90 minutes of learning power listening. And again, if you ever have some type of dispute with someone, whether it's personally or professionally, or you find that you're in a situation where it's really challenging to feel like you're being heard, please do consider attending my seminar. You can find the information on my website, which is drjacalyn.com. You can also book your session to be a guest on any of our shows at drjacalyn.com. And you can also book clarity coaching with me at drjacalyn.com. I tried to make it as easy as possible.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Dr. Jacalyn, I appreciate you sharing the time with us today. And I know everybody is going to benefit from the information that you shared with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity. And thank you to Red O'Loughlin and also to Hyatt Ives and Caroline Heward for being here. Thank you.
So folks, everything that you saw today comes from a newsletter. It's called Connections Now newsletter. And as you see in the current newsletter, there's a book review on behind the green screen by Dr. Jacalyn. There is information by not a doctor, Red O'Loughlin. He works on cause and effect rather than all the symptom stuff, called More Potassium, Less Sodium, and all of the top networking events that are going on in the general Houston area, including some from senior areas. Speaking of seniors, the upcoming senior state concierge meetings, there'll be one on the third Thursday. That's, on the second Thursday. That's tomorrow, isn't it? And then on the third Thursday, well, they got one every Thursday. I'll send you the list. So September 16th, the Christian Business Fellowship has their networking lunch at Ray's restaurant. Oh, there's the one I was trying to get to you, the 16th meeting. And the 17th is the Katy Christian Chamber of Commerce breakfast. There'll be Commissioner Jack Cagle speaking. On the 20th, we have the In Houston Katy Business Mixer, always a great one to attend. Every Wednesday, Katy Business Connections meets over to Harris County Smokehouse, great place to network. Also, want to remind you, you heard Dr. Jacalyn talk about Earl Hurd, who is the founder of the Boomer Connection TV series, and she talked about Hyatt Ives, who was a facilitator for that series. So here's some links for you to go to connect on that. I want to thank each and every one of you for attending PDN today, and hope that you enjoyed it as much as I. See you at the next one.